Considering the insanity of the world we live in right now, I don't really think you'd really have to trap me in an idyllic town with Wanda. Hey everyone, Jeremy here. Today I am going to go over some of your theories on WandaVision. Yeah, we're at, I think, the halfway point for the series at this juncture. I was going to say at this point, and that just sounded like too many points. Anyway, so I wanted to go over some of the prevailing theories I've been seeing in the comments, and I wanted to talk about them a bit more than I do in those comment sections. So I just wanted to, touch base on what you guys are throwing out there and kind of give my 2 cents on where I think this is headed and what it might mean for the overall MCU. Okay, and this is in no particular order other than how I happen to save them on my phone. This isn't a least to worst or best to whatever. This is just... You're all beautiful and delicate snowflakes in my eyes. Okay, this one came from Thorin Woods, and it is, I think, Dottie, Emma Caulfield, her character is Moonglow, setting up Squadron Supreme. Now, that has been one I've heard other people mention. I've actually seen some videos on that because I guess her husband in the show was named after the husband of Moonglow from Squadron Supreme. That is not a group I know that well. I've heard of them. I've heard a lot of people mention how that it's a very overlooked section of the MCU because they actually weren't even a part of the MCU, I believe, originally when they were created, and they were kind of brought in as their own alternate universe to the Marvel Comics universe, the 616. So at any rate, that would be interesting if they are going that route. Marvel has this tendency to throw out red herrings that later become true. And that's kind of where I am on this Moonglow idea, because she would obviously lead to other characters for the Squadron Supreme, but at the same time, Marvel likes to throw these things out there that never really pay off for a long time, at least. So things like the 10 Rings, the Mandarin. That was something mentioned in the first Iron Man. Then we get to Iron Man 3 and it's, oh no, there is no Mandarin. And then suddenly we find out after that, no, there really is a Mandarin. So Marvel likes to tease things out for a very long time and then make them happen. So even if she's not Moonglow, it does feel like that's a tease for that character to come eventually. And something we even had a conversation about in the comments was Squadron Supreme ended up being kind of bad guys. If you've ever seen the Justice League episode, I'm blanking on what it's called. It's an alternate Earth where the Justice League has taken over for the betterment of humanity. They've taken over. They think they can enforce utopia, almost similar to Red Sun Superman. But anyway, the idea is that Squadron Supreme would do this. Now, whether that would be in the MCU or in their own pocket universe, because we're getting the multiverse, it's really possible they could actually introduce the Squadron Supreme as good guys, and they gradually start turning into this no, our way or the highway group that thinks, no, we know what's best. We are going to start making the decisions. And they become these villains just by wanting to do good. So I could really see the MCU pull something like that off. They are very good about those things. I'm going to paraphrase this one. Boston Otaku is saying he is still convinced Mephisto is involved. If anything, he is maybe pushing her, as well as he is wondering if Doctor Strange will show up in the last episode, and that will kind of be the instigator to push Wanda out of the bubble. And he goes on to say he's hoping Mephisto shows up so they can introduce the more supernatural characters, things like Moon Knight and Blade, which we know are on their way, as well as hopefully reintroducing Ghost Rider. So yeah, the Midnight Suns, I believe that's what they're called. I really think it's a matter of time for Mephisto. If Mephisto doesn't show up in this series, I believe that is not indicative of him not ever showing up in the MCU. I think he is definitely going to show up in the MCU. It's just going to be a matter of how he's introduced. Whether it's in this series remains to be seen. It is really possible that's who is going to show up, because the other prevailing theory everyone has is that Agnes is Agatha Harkness, which is, I don't know that character very well, but I do know that she has ties to the occult and Mephisto. So, and even the storyline we're starting to see has ties to Mephisto with the kids that Wanda now has. So it's really, it seems like it's setting us up for that. But at the same time, again, Marvel likes sleight of hand. They like us looking over here when really something's going on over there. So it's hard to say if that's going to happen here. But I genuinely believe Mephisto is coming. There's no way around it. I think he has to at some point, because we are getting Blade, so the supernatural is coming. We've already got Doctor Strange. And if they are introducing characters like Agatha Harkness or Moonglow, then it looks like magic is becoming more and more prominent in the MCU. I mean, heck, look at Thor. You know, they kind of hand wave that away as though it's not, oh, it's just science we don't understand. And to a degree, and I kind of I always like looking at magic like that, like it's just science that we can't quite wrap our heads around. It's just a form of science. So I'm okay with that in the MCU, them kind of explaining it that way. But at the same time, yeah, I want a straight up devil. Bring in Mephisto. And frankly, I mean, we've had other characters. I can't think of the name of the character that we had in Thor Ragnarok at the very beginning. Somebody leave that in the comments below. That was very much a demon-esque character that we had that Thor was battling. We're there. We've been knocking on the supernatural door for a long time at this point. So I think we are going to get Mephisto. I'm still not convinced he's in this series. But I also won't be surprised if he shows up. Now, the idea of Doctor Strange showing up, that would be interesting, because there is a rumor that maybe Wanda appears in Multiverse of Madness. Yeah, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. That would be interesting because, quite frankly, that could dovetail into his own movie. This series could end with her going to Doctor Strange too. So I think that's a real possibility. I almost think that's a higher probability than Mephisto showing up, to be honest. Heck, Mephisto might show up in Doctor Strange and Wanda is the connecting tissue for Mephisto. I don't know. It's that one, I hadn't really thought about that. And I think that is, I don't know if I want to say on the money, but a real possibility. Oh, and this is just a quick one of anybody getting Emma Frost vibes from Dottie. That was from Kenny Hitt. Yes. I hadn't even thought of that. I don't think she is. Emma Caulfield as Dottie. That'd be brilliant casting for Emma, but at the same time, I don't think they would introduce the mutants this way. I mean, it's possible. Maybe all our theories about the fact that maybe Wanda or the stones are what cause mutants in the MCU. Maybe this is how Emma becomes, a mutant. She and Agnes are the only two people that haven't been identified yet. And that's going to go into actually my next question, or next question, but next comment. And this one is from Ob79. I'm loving this show. I think Wanda is not entirely a villain. I still think Agnes has her own agenda different from Sword. It's still too early to understand what's going on. And that one I think was from last episode as opposed to this week's episode, but it still applies. I'm still 50-50 on if someone is pulling her strings, but I'm a solid 50-50, because even though she is controlling this world, Wanda has a habit of being manipulated. When we first met her in Age of Ultron, she was being manipulated by Strucker and Hydra. When that movie progressed, she was being manipulated by Ultron. So it's not unlike Wanda to actually get sort of pushed the wrong direction at all. So that really does ring true. Part of me thinks the exclamation point this week on the town is being controlled by Wanda, I think that is 100% accurate. I think she is manipulating all of this at this point. She is creating all this, I should say. Manipulation might be coming from someone else, but creation, keeping this fantasy going, is all her. However, it doesn't necessarily mean that there isn't someone in the shadows pushing her this way, pushing her that way, and maybe even keeping some of the seams from not unraveling around her. Like maybe Agnes, if she is Agatha Harkness, is kind of going around and patching things up where they don't fit. And like I was about to say a minute ago, Dottie and Agatha, or Agnes, have not been identified yet. On that FBI board where they were sitting there figuring out who all these people really are, those are the two characters we didn't identify. And we still don't know who Ralph is. Ralph being another one that keeps getting mentioned, but we haven't seen him. And there's a possibility that, just like in sitcoms, if you don't know this, in old sitcoms especially, they would always refer to a husband or a wife off screen that you never, ever met. And that could just be the case here. That could be a complete red herring where it is just, they're just making reference like they did in old sitcoms like that, where you never meet the significant other because it's just funnier. In this case, though, it is really possible that she's talking about someone who's controlling her, her boss. Not necessarily boss, but the guy she's in cahoots with, almost. Like maybe she's made a deal with Mephisto to help him in this realm get Wanda, and in exchange she's going to get power. I don't know. I don't know how that works. That pendant she keeps wearing seems really, I don't want to say important, but seems like a clue. So I don't know. Jury is very much out on that. And all that actually goes into exactly something Thorne Woods had said about having Mephisto having a hand to play, and Agnes mentioning Ralph, and how Mephisto is heavily involved in a similar storyline in the comics. And that's really where this seems to be. It seems to be they are, which they are very good at in the MCU, they are pulling from House of M, as well as, I don't know the name of the storyline where the twins came into being, but it seems like that's what they are drawing from. They're drawing from two different storylines and trying to create this one massive story that I really think a lot of people misjudged at the beginning. They're thinking, oh, they're just making a sitcom. Most of us, a lot of us diehards, especially the comic nerds, we all sat there going, no, something else is going on here. A shoe is going to drop, and it dropped this week. And then I think we're just in for more. I really think we have just started scratching the surface of what is really going on here. So that's also why I keep saying I'm 50-50 on whether or not somebody's pushing her, but at the same time, since there are a lot of episodes left, it would be surprising if there weren't more reveals to come. We'll see. All right, so that was me discussing the top theories I've run into thus far. If you have more theories, leave those in the comments below. Are you thinking it's Mephisto? Maybe you have a different character in mind that it might be. I'm not sure. As always, leave your theories. I love reading them, and maybe we'll revisit them later as the episodes keep going on. If you enjoyed this video, please hit like and subscribe to see more content like it, and mash that little bell as well to get updates, which helps out the channel greatly too. All right, and before I go, as always, please take care of yourselves, and please take care of each other. Thanks for watching.